So D is the correct answer, and you guys rocked that one.
Teaching is such a difficult profession, and I think it just has become more so. And so one of the things that learning science can do is really help teachers understand what works the best for their students so they can stop doing some things that maybe are not as effective and elevate the practices that work the best and do those more frequently.
That there was a little bit of more information needed.
What I want you to do is recall everything you learned in statistics module so far.
Every teacher deserves to know what to pick up and what to put down when they're carrying a load as heavy as a classroom teacher is. And so we have found that teachers have been very excited to understand better how people learn and how they should teach as a result, because it has streamlined their workload to a certain extent.
No, that was good.
No one had ever taken the opportunity to really break down the model of the mind and how learning actually happens.
Promotes our critical thinking and our problem solving.
And just that understanding how the brain works, for me that was pivotal, because I'm like, there are strategies that help us do that as an educator. So what do teachers need to know so that I can help them do that on a daily basis so that students will learn more? And so that's really what we started to do.
So then it's going to be circulatory.
It transports, that's its main goal.
We looked at our 3-year induction program and thought, when new teachers come into our county, what do we need to teach them? What do they need to know about the science of learning that they don't already know?
Why does it flip to be 10 times less instead of 10 times greater?
In college, they teach you everything they can, but I feel like once you jump into teaching, it's a whole different world. We talked about different classroom management strategies and different teaching strategies, turning and talking, retrieval practice, and spiral review. I feel like I'm really able to understand how students learn.
And it's okay if you were having trouble thinking of something. That's why we're all here, to put our brains together.
Some people say things like, well, you've been teaching so long, you just know what you're doing. And I say, let me tell you what I learned last year. And as I sat in the learning science and listened and soaked it in and went back into my practice, I recognized that there were so many strategies that I wasn't putting into play that I now am, that hold kids accountable for their thinking.
Could you add a word to make this sentence an opinion?
One of the things is the way I question kids. And so much of that came from that professional development that we did on effortful thinking.
That's an opinion,
Yes, it is.
So you're going to share with your group about your beautiful thinking, your beautiful recall.
A lot of the professional development, it's really helping me to become a better teacher. Because everything I learn, I come back and really evaluate my own instruction and say, what can I improve?
It's a bit different.
The more you understand about how the brain works, the better your instruction is, and it's going to help students at the end.
The engagement was there. I think we can just work on deepen that engagement.
As a school-based mentor, I do have some opportunities to go into other classrooms, and sometimes I see in them what I was doing in my early career, where I was sort of validating my lesson by getting the responses I wanted from students who got it. And so just kind of like looking at that through a different lens and helping a new teacher see that.
It's a nice kind of well-rounded relationship where we continue to support you as much as we can throughout the school year.
I think our goal in the learning science journey is that all teachers in our district have a solid grasp of the learning science principles. And once you see things that really make a difference in terms of not only your teaching, but in student learning, you can't help but want to be part of it.
Boys and girls, pat yourselves on the back. Wow, that was incredible.